Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Kicking Bass TV. Now, today, everybody's been emailing me saying, D, you can only catch big bass, man, but can you catch small bass? Well, today we're going to show them because we're going to catch the smallest bass ever caught on YouTube. So hit subscribe, sucker. Alright, y'all, so everybody's always talking about catching the biggest bass and showing off their new PB and setting a new record, but can you catch the smallest bass? That's the question today, bud. So we start out over one of our local lakes, and, you know, the best bet if you want to catch bass is to fish somewhere where there's bass. And, you know, we know there's bass in here because the internet said so. So we're throwing a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Wouldn't you know it, right in front of our face, we got our first bass of the day. But I could tell you, by the size of this big old boy here, he wasn't no candidate for smallest bass of the year, nuh-uh. We were gonna need to catch something more along the lines of the size of this here lure if we were gonna catch the smallest bass. So we got that old boy back in the water after taking a couple pictures, and we headed across town to a little bit smaller pond. Now I'm thinking small here, we're thinking smaller pond, smaller fish, right? So we downsize our bait. We put a little tiny hook on some light line, and with a little tiny plastic worm on there you could barely see. Wouldn't you know it, we got us another dang old shark on the line, a giant. Ooh-wee, boy, I tell you, he had a fight in him. He got to kicking and thrashing, and he must have weighed 45 pounds, or maybe we just didn't have our drag set right on. That was probably it, but whether he weighed 4 pounds or 45 pounds, that old boy fought me for upwards of 3.5 hours, y'all. It got to the point where it was downright ridiculous. Finally, I had to pull him in, let him know he's nice and all, but he ain't quite what we're looking for today. So we move over to the other end of the pond, because I'm thinking, hey, if that old boy's on that end, maybe all the little fish are over here hiding on this end from that old boy. So we threw that same tiny little worm out there, and wouldn't you know it, whammy, bammy, we got hit right away. And I could tell it was small, y'all, so we pulled him in, hoping to have that smallest bass ever. And, well, bit of a disappointment, y'all. It was a dang old crawfish. And even though I know it says fish in the name, crawfish ain't no damn fish. So that old boy got to crawling around on the ground. He found his way eventually back over into the water where he liked to have been on such a hot day like today, and we continued on. Now obviously that smaller profile is working, but this is embarrassing, folks, because now we're catching crawfish, we're not even catching fish. So we have got to get back on track. So we moved to lake number 3, and I'm throwing that tiny little worm, and whammy, bammy, we got back on them. And a couple of minutes into it, we were back on track catching fish, although for the life of me, this weren't no bass, this was a bluegill. So we had to throw that fella back in and head to lake number 4. Upon arriving to lake number 4, I can see visibly with my friggin' eyeballs, y'all, that there are bass feeding 30 feet in front of my face, but still they're too big. So I take out that baby bass lure thinking maybe another little baby bass is gonna see him and come up and try to make friends with him, and then suddenly turn on him and try to bite him, and wouldn't you know it, that's exactly what happened, y'all. That old boy came up there and hit that little tiny baby bass lure, and it wasn't nothing but maybe double the size of the lure himself. A little cannibal psycho. Anyway, we could tell he was about 1/3 of a pound, and in baby bass challenge, 1/3 of a pound is still huge. So, unfortunately, we had to turn that one loose, let him go. Now, at this point of the day, I'm not gonna lie to you, y'all. I am discouraged. I am flat out, just enraged, ready to throw my stuff in the lake and never come back to the water again, y'all. And it was right then that I caught the smallest bass I'd ever seen in my life, y'all. I tell you, you look at this fella right here, he can tell you right now this is the smallest bass I've ever caught. And he was small, but I thought maybe we could catch smaller. And if you're gonna challenge me, bud, I'm gonna tell you 10 days out of the week, you're gonna lose. So we threw it back out there, and sure enough, if we didn't better it again, we caught the smallest bass that's ever been caught on YouTube, folks. So take a screenshot, tell your friends, share the video, do whatever you wanna do, just make sure that anybody asks you who caught the smallest bass ever, you tell them it was Dee from Kicking Bass TV. So there you have it, y'all. The tiniest bass ever done caught on YouTube television. So do me a favor, if you watch the video, subscribe to the channel, because if you don't, and what the hell, leave me a comment down below, and if I have time in my busy, busy life of all the fame and fortune, I might even reply to it.
Subscribe!